when I was still living in Houston, and I was in a dump of a house, and I was reading a lot of books. I remember picking up a book called the Robert Collier Letter Book, which was a book on writing. And I was reading it, and in it was a mention of somebody named Bruce Barton. And I don't know why, but it just crawled into my brain, and I couldn't stop thinking about Bruce Barton. Now, I could have said no. I could have said, who cares? Nobody knows who Bruce Barton is. That's an interesting character, and just, someday maybe look it up. But it haunted me. And I started to do a little research in that book and at the public library. And I learned Bruce Barton was once very famous. He had best-selling books. He was the founder of one of the largest advertising agencies in the world in 1919. And I began to get more and more interested. Now remember, I'm broke. I'm unknown. I had the one book published 10 years before that came and went. Nobody knows about it. Nobody bought it. And so I have no money, and I'm living in this dump, but there's a seed planted. I'll give credit to the great something. And it was saying, pursue this. And so I went on a quest. I went on a mission. I had to use the interlibrary loan because the little library in the community where I was living didn't have all the books. But I would walk in with a list that I had found through the decimal card system, and I would say, I need these titles. And then they would go through the other library system, interlibrary loan, find the books, bring them to that library. I'd drive over, pick them up, read them. And I went through this long quest learning all about Bruce Barton. I never once knew where it was going. Okay? Within, I don't know, 6 months of all this crazy research and obsession, I found out that all of his material, his diaries, had been left in Wisconsin. He had graduated there. He left them at the university. I saved enough money to get on a bus to go to Wisconsin. When I got to Wisconsin, I realized that it was winter there, and I had lived in Texas, so I arrived with a little windbreaker and froze in the Wisconsin winter.
Oh my!
On a bus, as I went over to the college to have them pull Bruce Barton's diaries out. I don't know what I'm doing. Unfortunately, none of that cost any money. I had to raise money to get on the bus, but I bring all of it back. I come back to Texas and I start to create a book. And I'm just thinking, well, this looks like it's a book, and I can't call it Bruce Barton because nobody knows who Bruce Barton is. But I'm following this nudge in me, this mysterious Twilight Zone-ish leading me down the path of who knows what. And I end up writing a little book called The 7 Lost Secrets of Success. Wow. So let me tell you the punchline. That ended up being one of the most successful books of my life at that point. A publisher who was a first-time publisher picked it up. I was on my first radio shows, and apparently I did something right on those radio shows. I remember one company of salespeople were driving away from a conference they'd gone to, heard me on the radio, turned around and drove to the bookstore I was at and bought copies for everybody in that company. Another person that was in a company, it was a network marketing company, bought 19,000 copies of that book. Wow. That book has gone on to numerous editions. And then, of course, after the movie The Secret came out in 2006, and I was becoming even more well-known, all of my early books, including The 7 Lost Secrets of Success, were bought for more money from a larger publisher. So that is an amazing story, an amazing success, happened with no money, no clue, no evidence, no help, no mastermind, no confirmation, nothing. Only I got a nudge and I said yes.